and welcome to the recap video from the fourth and final week of Dance Movement 101 in January of 2020. So we did a lot of review this week, but I gave you some exercises that will hopefully make our turning 8-count pattern, which looked like rock, step, turning, rock, step, turning, right? This is me using my right foot, bump, bump, shuffle, if I'm using my left foot, rock, step, triple step, rock, step, triple step. That will hopefully make the turning triple step of that a little bit easier. So I had you guys, first I had you do some grapevines just to kind of loosen yourself up, right? Because we talked about that moving to the side as just everyday humans who don't dance is not something we do a lot unless we're just kind of inching our way through like a movie theater aisle or something, and then we do this weird side together kind of inchworm. And so we talked about if we wanted to move efficiently to the side and keep a consistent momentum, that if we allow our body to turn and allow our feet to cross, we can keep our momentum consistent. So we did some grapevines where we stepped, and I told you you didn't have to worry about behind or in front. You just needed to step in rhythm and allow your feet to cross as they will. So we went step, 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 step. And we talked about allowing your torso and your hips to move freely versus step, 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 keeping everything in a block where you were looking at yourself in the mirror. And then the next exercise we did was very similar to when you first learned triple steps, right? Where we went step, ball change, ball change, ball change, ball change, right? So I had you guys do a little rock step, ball change, ball change, ball change, ball change, but I had you start facing the side wall, and then on your rock step, you turn to face a new wall, in this case the mirror, and then you went ball change, ball change, ball change, ball change, ball change to the side. So you did that little gallop, but moving laterally, right? And we wanted to make sure that our feet were staggered with some space between them rather than like trying to keep them super close under our body. So that looks like rock, step, step, ball change, ball change, ball change, ball change. We did that on both sides, right? That was me starting with my right foot. This is me starting with my left foot. Rock, step, step, ball change, ball change, ball change, ball change. And we talked about that movement is what you're doing in your turning 8-count. Rock, step, step, ball change, rock, step, step, ball change. You just don't get to do it ad infinitum across the floor. So then we went and we drilled a lot of our turning 8-count mixed with our straight 8-count from previous weeks. And then we worked on some jazz moves, and I chose specifically some that have some visual illusions to them, optical illusions, that sometimes make them hard for people to pick up initially. And so we worked on the structural version of them first, and then put the styling on top. So the first one that we did was called a Susie Q. In its full version, a Susie Q looks like this, right? And so there's a lot going on, and sometimes people are like, well, how do I start doing that, right? So in the pattern that I gave you, we kicked on count 8, and then we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with the other foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we talked about that the foot that is in front, right, and we have the staggered stance, right, we're not trying to be all crunched up, staggered stance. We have our weight more toward the heel in the front foot, and our weight more in the ball of the back foot. So we're going ball, heel, as we walk to the side with bent legs nice and low, right? So from the back, starting with my right foot, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we talked about the styling. So the styling is knees together, knees open. So closing and opening, and because you have your feet staggered like this, the close looks super closed. And then when you step out with the back foot, the open is very open, right? So that's what gives it that distinctive look. So I'll do it facing you, and then I'll do it facing away from you. So 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. From the back. 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Then the next one we did was something called a Shorty George. And so in its full form, a Shorty George looks like 8 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so again, there's a lot of stuff going on with the legs. And so people, when they try and replicate it, they misinterpret that as a twisting motion. And in fact, my toes are pointed toward you, the camera, the whole time. So the base version of that we learned, we still did the entrance, 8 and 1, so from the back, starting with my right foot, 8 and pop. So I popped my left foot up, so I'm ready to move on that left foot. And then we just walked forward, and what I had you envision was that you had a $100 bill between your knees, and you didn't want to let it drop, right? But you were sneaking away with it in this low stance, so that you're keeping, your legs glued together, but also taking very small steps, right? So like not passing your feet too much, like very small steps. So our base version was 8 and walk, 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 right? So from the back, 8 and walk, 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 with our toes pointed forward. So where the styling, where the shape comes from, is actually when you're in this low position. If you imagine that there's a string on your hip and someone's pulling that string so that your hip lifts, your knees will move, right? My knees just moved out to the side. If the string is on this side and someone's pulling my hip that way, my knees are going to move that way. So it's all actually driven from the hips, and no twisting is actually happening with the feet, right? So we added that in, 8 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We also talked about how it's a little easier to do this when you're a little bit forward on the balls of your feet, than completely flat-footed. We talked about some arm shapes, right? So we talked about getting big on the entrance, 8 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I talked about how I tend to default to the what arms. What do you got to say about it, arms? But there's also these, right? There's also pointing at the ground. You can do any number of arm shapes, and I invited you to play with the ones that you thought were fun. And that was everything that we covered. Thank you guys so much. Hope to see you around in another class.